I'm a lot braver than people think.
The Haunting of Bly Manor has gotten some pretty good reception overall, but amidst all that, there has been some mixed opinions about it. So welcome to my opinion. Before I get into it, I wanted to let you guys know really quick that I was lucky enough to be a part of two really cool projects this year. Those are the Explore podcast that you can find at jupitertheater.com and also the Formal Complaints web series that you can find on YouTube. Explore podcast is a really cool podcast that has different selections of stories. If it's something a little bit creepy or more sci-fi. The episode I was involved in, the Xeno Station, will be available on October 30th. If that sounds like your jam, please check it out. And if that does not sound like your jam and you're in the mood for something lighter, you can check out Formal Complaints, the comedy series on YouTube that is about a group of very different women and the life and times in their drudging office job. Hilarity ensues. That is going to be available on the 29th. Bly Manor is, of course, the next in this anthology series and is about a young American woman who goes to be a live-in nanny at Bly Manor. And of course, as the series goes on, we're given a little bit more detail on that event, as well as the residents of Bly Manor and the people that were affected by it. Apparently, this season is loosely based off of the works of Henry James, particularly The Turning of the Screw and another handful of his short stories. And looking back, that actually makes a lot of sense. It makes sense because I felt this season had a handful of stories that were kind of being crammed into one narrative. And those of you that watched Hill House will remember there were also several stories in that one. But at the heart of Hill House, there was this event that happened in the past that connected all the characters, that all the characters experienced. So the end result was more or less Hill House being about one event, one story with gaps in between that as we progressed through the season got filled in. Bly Manor aims to do something similar, but instead of the whole season kind of spinning around this one event that happens, there are several very different events that happen and multiple different character episodes and perspectives that don't necessarily correlate in the same way that they did in Hill House. So in the interest of fitting everything in so that everything makes sense at the end, some of these different story arcs require exposition dumps or even just flat out explaining things. This season uses a storyteller at the beginning to open up the whole season. And this isn't a spoiler, but I will say at the end, there is a part where this storyteller more or less sums up the themes and connects it all together at the end to the audience. If your story needs to use the device of a storyteller or somebody telling the audience how all the themes connect together and what the through line is, then the through line probably wasn't very clear. And that's kind of how I felt with Bly Manor. And I want to be really clear, I don't think this is an issue of this season not having a message. I think there was a message, I just think it got lost with all the stuff that they were trying to fit into this one season. And again, don't get me wrong, a lot of these separate little stories, they're beautiful. They're stuff to enjoy, and I 100% understand if people enjoy it. But to give you an idea of where my head was at when watching this season and my feelings on it, this season is set in the 80s. And I reached a point around about the second last episode where I thought to myself, there's really no reason why this season had to be in the 80s. We're in a big spooky Edwardian manor and everything's all old-fashioned, very removed from the rest of the world. So really the only visual cues that were in the 80s was some costume design. But then the last episode happened and I thought, oh, that's why they set it in the 80s, that they could do this at the end. The last episode, while very emotional and beautiful, I thought just felt so disconnected from the rest of the show. The story is constantly playing catch up with itself throughout in order to fit everything in. Sometimes scenes will happen and then we are given another episode later describing, the history of Bly or something else that happened similarly to this situation we just saw. So we didn't even understand the significance of it when it happened, and the significance is applied to it afterwards, retroactively. There's just too much jumping around to really settle into one story, and I think that's what Bly Manor needed to do. To me, this season just reeks of a season where the show creators wanted to try something different from Hill House, and maybe some studio execs got involved. no, you gotta put more scary Hill Housey stuff in there to please the Hill House people that are expecting Hill House. And I want to point out, I wasn't expecting too much out of this. Like I said, Hill House set the bar so high, so I wasn't expecting a masterpiece, but I was expecting some decent pacing, and, you know, it didn't deliver. I know a lot of people are totally fine with all the stories and the pacing in this, so please check it out if you like, but for me, this is going to be a skip it. Anyways, guys, that has been my review for The Haunting of Bly Manor. I'm honestly not sure if this was a hot take or not, so let me know what you think. And if you are interested in checking out the Explore podcast or Formal Complaints, I will provide some links to that in the comments. So have a happy Halloween, and don't forget to like and subscribe.